Hi guys, and welcome back to a new video for the channel. So in today's video, this is a little bit of a celebration for me hitting 1,000 subscribers. So this is going to be my very first impressions of Phantasy Star Zero. Now, as you probably know from the channel, I'm a massive PS0 fan. I've played a ton of PSU, PS02, NGS and so on. But Zero is a game that always passed me by. My brother did have Zero when he was younger, but I never got around to trying it. So this is my very first time with the game. So I want to do my first impressions of it and just anything I can pick up on as like a long-time PSO player. So I hope you guys enjoy the video and let's get into it. Okay, so as I say, I have absolutely, not to make a joke out of it, but I have absolutely zero experience with Phantasy Star Zero. So I don't really know anything about how it plays, what the classes are like, or anything. This is completely new to me. And it's one of the very few Phantasy Star games where this is the case. I think the only other ones I haven't played are some of the more obscure Japanese ones, so things like Phantasy Star Nova and some of the phone games like Idler. But yeah, this is my first impressions of Zero. So it looks like we can choose from humans, casts, or humans. Now, so it's like humans are well balanced for beginners. That's kind of similar to how it puts it in PSO. So casts seem to be able to use traps, so they've kept that from PSO as well. I like that humans are for advanced players because, I mean, if you know my channel, you already know what class I'm going with. So we actually have Hugh New. So one thing that Zero did do by looks of things is it gave us the classes that we never got in PSO. So what do we actually have anyway? Let's have a look. So we've got Humal. So Humal, I mean, technically was in PSO, but the only one was Rico. We've got Rimal, Formar, and Formal. So more or less what you'd expect, just with the addition of Humal. And for casts, we've got the usual 4. So still no 4 casts, unfortunately. Rick Steel actually looks, I mean, you can see with some of the classes that there is some definite design cues from PSO. I mean, you cannot look at that Rick Steel and not see some inspiration from Eleanor. The cast actually looks a little bit like Fully and Kurtz from PSU. Then Newman, so we have Hugh Newman, which is a new class altogether. Hugh Newell, Phonium, and Phonuel. I love how Phonuel basically just always looks the same in pretty much every game. I think I'm going to go Hugh Newell just because it's what I've always played in PSO, so I feel like I can compare it the most, I guess. So it has higher evasion than any other class and can balance melee combat and techniques. So Hugh Newell kind of sounds like more similar to a Hugh Casil build from PSO. So we do get character creation, which is pretty cool. I'm going to assume it's very basic. Okay, so there is literally just 4 hairstyles. So it actually has less, seems to have like less customization than PSO to an extent. I do appreciate they kept the Twin Tails hairstyle. We'll go with the Twin Tails. Hair colour, we're going to have 3 hair colours. However, purple is one of them, so we're fine. Costume colour. Can we go with a purple costume? I mean, that's probably about as close as I'm going to get, I think. Actually, maybe that. I do like how there's only 5 costume colours and they're all just various shades of purple. Does this sync with your hair colour by any chance? Doesn't seem so. So I have a few different skin tones. So I've got some voices. And we do have a mag, which is both cool and also terrifies me because that makes me wonder if it's mag feeding. It's odd that you can still colour your mag separately to your costume. So I have no idea if there's anything like section IDs in this game, so we're just going with the name and hoping for the best. Alright, character made. So I've got a little opening cutscene, which will probably look horrendous on the emulator because they'll probably look very sort of washed out and very pixely. There's not a whole lot I can do about that, unfortunately, for the cutscenes. So from what little I understand about this game, I've heard that this apparently takes place on Coral, which is, if you play PS0, it's the planet you were escaping from on Pioneer. So that interests me a lot. And I do kind of wonder if there's any kind of reference to the Pioneer project or anything like that. Again, I have zero experience of this game. Again, no pun intended. So I'm going to assume that some of these characters that's shown here are like story NPCs, I'm guessing, because some of them look different to the creator characters that I could make.
Once there was prosperity.
Voice acting in my PS0.
3 tribes thrived of old and gave birth to divinity. Then there was war. The rift between God and mortal cut through the tribes like a blade. Then there was desolation. A vast emptiness and nothing more.
That's interesting.
2 centuries went by. People survived and pushed back against the edge of oblivion. Until today. In the middle of a bright sky, a shadow covered the moon, and the Forgotten Ones swooped down from the heavens.
Whoa, you've got to hang in there. Hey, can you hear me? If you're still alive, answer me.
That's very similar to NGS, isn't it? Okay, so first thoughts. The war that they referenced. Again, this is just me totally spitballing because I have no experience of Zero at all. Would that be the Universal War? Because in PSO you have weapons that have descriptions that refer to AUW, which is after Universal War. And we know that the Pioneer project sprang up from Coral to get away from the planet because it was becoming inhospitable. And this makes me wonder now, is this the war that made Coral inhospitable? So good, you're finally away, Taker. He's still half asleep at your own name. Fears the shock of landing has muddled your memory somewhat. Do you remember who I am? What's my name? I don't know. It's my first time here. I have no idea who you are. I'm just gonna ask where am I first? Is this some kind of joke? No, you're serious, aren't you? If this is a joke, I'm not amused. Have you really forgotten everything? My name is it Rev or Revy? I'm your commanding officer, captain of the descent team. I suspect this is traumatic amnesia due to the shock of the landing. Hopefully it'll pass with time. I suppose there's nothing for it right now. Listen closely. The descent team came from the moon to monitor the humans living here on the surface. You're one of us. Something must have happened to your descent pod, which tracked you falling faster than projected velocity. As a result, the pod crashed and the subsequent trauma seems to have impaired your memory. The descent pod was designed to be abandoned, so its loss is unimportant, but its pilot is another story entirely. Tell me what you can remember. I don't remember anything. This is terrible. Have you even forgotten our glorious mother? Surely that much is unbelievable. To forget me is one thing, but something as fundamental as she. Well, let us stay on task. Perhaps we can make this unfortunate turn of events work in our favour. If you have no memories, there is no risk of you leaking intelligence to the humans under torture. Here are your orders, SEGA. You'll be sent to investigate the status of the humans, no, of the people living here. I'll contact you at set intervals to hear your reports. Until then, learn what you can of life on the surface. You look lost, confused as to what you should be doing. I'm gonna have this crashed into the ground, so... There's no need to overthink things, SEGA. Go to them and simply do whatever comes to you. If you feel they pose a threat, keep your distance. That's all you need to remember. Is all this clear? I understand. Good, then your mission begins immediately. To begin, make your way towards the nearest settlement. I must see to the rest of the team, so I'll part ways with you here. You'll head in the opposite direction. Because I want nothing to do with you, so I'm sending you off far away. I'm expecting results, soldier. Do your race proud. So the immediate thing I'm getting is that this seems to be race specific. So does that mean that when you start the game, I have heard this, but does this mean that when you start the game with different races, you have a different start to the story? Like, this seems to be very sort of Newman focused. I would also say that the Newmans do seem very sort of judgmental. Loving that music.
What are you doing here?
Well, she's clearly another Newman. Who apparently knows me. I'm pretty sure this is Sarissa, isn't it? The only reason I know that is because I played Japanese PS0 2 and there was Phantasy Star 0 collaborations and things like that, so... Poke your head curiously. Don't you remember me? I guess not. We didn't spend a whole lot of time together during training. Hey, you're acting kind of strange. Is something wrong? I will tell her what happened. You lost your memory during landing? Well, that explains why you didn't remember me. In that case, let's start fresh. I'm Sarissa. I'm part of the descent team, just like you. But I'm just a grunt, so I came down in the Vanguard landing a little while ago. So what sort of mission did you get assigned? Make contact with the people here and observe their behaviour. That's similar to mine, but you're going to be okay with no memory. Hey, why don't you come to the city I'm set up in for a while? They're short on hunters, and I'm sure they'd welcome someone with your level of training. Bear in mind I have forgotten everything. Oh yeah, hunters are like handymen that take on all sorts of work. Whether it's finding stuff or fighting hostiles, you do a little bit of everything. So pretty much the same as PS0 then. Which makes sense. Sounds pretty perfect, don't you think? What better way to investigate a whole range of different things? I met up with a human hunter named Kai who's been showing me the ropes. I'm sure he'd be happy to help you get set up too, Taker. I'd be happy to introduce you. Oh, but he's out on a quest to the Uzet wetlands right now. I'm actually supposed to be heading there myself. I was so surprised to see you here, I just forgot about what I was doing. I mean, I'll go with you, mainly because I want to see what the combat's like. You will? Okay, great. Let's go meet up with Kai. He's probably waiting for me as it is. First, we'll need to drop by the quest counter at the Hunters Guild. That's the building at the end of the road. We have time to do a quick tour of the city on the way if you want. We'll head to the guild whenever you're ready. There are lots of different folks living here in the city. Can't hurt to talk to them before we head out. You never know what might trigger your memory, and besides, your job is to investigate, so it's a win-win deal. I'll follow you for now. Let's go. Okay, and also apologies if the way that things are set up is on the screen isn't great. Capturing the DS is actually a lot harder than I thought it would be. Okay, so let's talk to a couple of people, I guess, then on the way. Hi, lady. I'm Milio. Nice to meet you. Hunters are so cool, you know? Like whoosh, kapoo. Yeah. I wish I could grow up faster so I could become an awesome hunter right away. Me too, me too. I'm going to be a hunter too. So hunters are clearly very popular here. Cyan, don't butt in. You know I'm going to be a hunter before you. Yeah. Bleh to you. I'm going to be a hunter before you are. You'll be sorry. Yeah, says you, Cyan. I'm going to be a hunter as soon as I can. I'm going to go everywhere, and I'll protect my friend, Cyan. Yeah. The impression he likes the word yeah. Hello, nice lady. My name is Cyan. It's really nice to meet you. Hehe. You look really cool, like one of the hunters. Wow, that's so neat. I'm going to be a hunter too. When I grow up some more, I mean. That's not happening for Crybaby Cyan. I'm the one who's going to join the hunters. I'll do all the protecting around here. Yeah. Milio, buzz off. I'm going to join the hunters no matter what. I'm going to be one before Milio. I'm going to work really hard and become the best in the city. Good for you. Okay, we've just accidentally found the emote button. That is a dance from PSU. Okay, I like that. Hey there, how's it going? I don't think I've met you before. What, are you a rookie or something? I'm Natsume, a cast. As if you couldn't tell, right? Nice to meet you. I doubt we'll meet again though. I'm pretty busy, always on the move. I'm important like that. Heh. Thanks for that. Oh, how do you do? Or should I say I'm glad to make your acquaintance, I'm sure. Is this like an old man cast? I am Oyo, a humble cast, and this is the city in which I reside. Well, how I envy your youth, that answers that then. It gets harder to get around with old age creeping up on me. How does that even work, like old age as a cast? Were I only younger, perhaps I would travel the world as a hunter, but my time for such things has passed. What now gives me the most pleasure is to chat with carefree youths such as yourself. I shan't bore you with tripe, however. I've done some studying, you see. I am a fount of knowledge, you'll find. I bet you are. I have no idea what it says. You remind me a bit of a Tekka. Just the kind of the way he looks. Just looks a little bit like a Tekka. I would buy that, but it'd be all my money. Which is probably not the best thing to do right at the beginning of the game, I'm guessing. I'm going to assume you're the weapons guy. I really like that that's just called hand stick. I don't know why I find that so funny. Interesting. This is the Hunter's Guild. The quest counter's against the wall there. Do you see it off to the left there? Just talk to the lady behind the desk. To the right is the mayor's office. We don't really have any business there for now though. Go straight back and you'll find the teleporter. But first you'll need to get permission at the quest counter. We should go do that now so we don't keep Kai waiting all day. So is there no free roam in this game? The impression that I got there is that maybe it's only quests. Maybe I'm wrong though. Yo, how's it going? Did you want to see me? I'm just saying hi. You want to know what the Hunter's Guild's all about? In a nutshell, it's where you get assigned all your jobs, not to mention where you get paid for doing them. The more dangerous a job is, the higher the pay. Some jobs even include items along with Mazetta as a reward. There's a good selection of jobs to choose from helping folks out to getting rid of hostiles. Just remember that the guild isn't liable if you can't do a job right, you hear? Want to know what that custom shop is? You want to know about the custom shop? That place can be a little confusing until you get used to it. The owner's not much help either. But that's besides the point. I should be providing a solution to your query, yeah? So what about the custom shop do you want to know about? I get the impression I'm going to regret this. Explain element synthesis. Element synthesis is exactly what it sounds like. The shop synthesizes an element onto a weapon. Next question, right, what's an element? You must have seen it by now. Prefixes like heat that go before the names of weapons. That prefix names the element that it's been synthesized to the weapon. Okay, so it's not tied to like special attacks anymore, I'm guessing. That's what the custom shop will do for you, synthesize an element onto the weapon of your choosing. You need to keep in mind that if your weapon already has an element, the new element will replace it. It's always only one element per weapon. For synthesizing an element, you need element materials like heat element, night element. Makes sense. You take an element mineral and a weapon to the custom shop and they'll synth it for you. As for the effective element, nothing beats experience, try it and see. I'm going to assume that the different elements do different status effects. That would be my assumption. Some are easy to figure out from the name, and some you won't be able to guess at. They're all going to help you in some way. Make good use of them, you won't regret it. That's pretty much all I have to say about element synthesis. Fort on fortification. So is this grinding, possibly? So it's a bonus. Okay, so it's something you do after you've grinded a weapon. Okay. Oh, so they boost the fort on attribute. Okay, fair enough. So this is essentially like using photon drops or photon spheres in Gallon Shop, I'm guessing, to put extra percentage on your weapon in PS0. But there is an RNG element to it, where in PS0 it's a fixed percentage you got. Personnel counter, trunk and giant trunk. I'm going to assume this is your storage. Yep. Okay, that makes that easy. Okay, so there is just an option for access field. So maybe that's the free roam then. Okay, so took quest, so I assume we just go back here now. I'm very curious to see what the combat's like in this, actually. Well, we're here. I'd say welcome to the Ozette wetlands, but it's kind of gross here, huh? I don't feel so welcome. There have been reports of people here getting attacked by some hostile. None of us have seen it, though. Scary stuff. Kai's here to investigate it. He's probably a ways back there by now. Let's go catch up. I guess I should ask, we're bound to run into hostiles from here on out. Do you remember how to fight? Hell no. No problem, I figured I'd ask given what happened to your memory. Let's go over the basics. Let's review tactics then. What would you like to go over? Literally everything. On the action part, you can assign buttons to specific buttons that you can use them instantly. Yep, so that's PS0 basically. Yeah, that is pretty much just PS0. Okay, so there's an evasion button, okay. So that is different. Yeah, and you've got a reverse pallet again, just like PS0. So there are normal and heavy attacks, again, like PS0. You can chain attacks in succession. When an attack's ending, press the attack button to attack again. So timed attacks, again, like PS0. So there is a lot carried over. There's a 3-hit combo? Never. Chained attacks are more accurate than single hits. That's interesting. That kind of is the same as PS0, because in PS0 your later hits in a combo do have high accuracy generally. So heavy attacks have a delay after them, okay. When your chain attacks to become more accurate, yep, so that gets around the heavy attack problem. Yeah, so hit attack with 2 normal attacks, then finish with a heavy. So again, pretty much what you were doing PSO early on. Oh, so weapons have Fortnite. Okay, so Fortnite exists in PS0. That's interesting. I honestly can't remember what year PS0 came out in. You can use weapons Fortnite by keeping an attack button held to charge power and then letting go. Okay. Wait, if you find a weapon with a Fortnite, so a Fortnite's linked to the weapon? That's really interesting if that's the case. And does that apply to rare weapons as well? So does that mean that if you're hunting a rare weapon, you have to keep finding one until you get one with the fortnight you want? Or do rare weapons have fixed fortnights? I have no idea. Okay, so techniques seem like they work fairly similar. So evasion. After using evasion, you can't move for a split second. Okay, so you can't just spam evasion then. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so this is very similar to PSU, honestly, the way this works. I mean, I guess you have switches not in PSO, but the key system was more of a PSU thing. Oh, that's good. So it basically puts markers down on the map where you've already been, so you don't backtrack all the time. So interesting that she says that you have to go to the teleporter to go back. So does that mean that there's no telepipes or Ryuka in this? Alright, let's see how this plays. So let's just have a play around with the attacks first, so... That's a very weird animation. Do I have a fortnight? No, apparently not. I have no idea what this is. Oh, message pack. Okay, so this is... Give me memories of PS 1. Okay, so it's like little segmented areas. Fair enough. Controls do feel very, very weird to begin with. It does also feel like I have no range whatsoever on this weapon. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this combat. It feels very, very weird. I mean, it's definitely not as janky as PSO's combat for someone new. You know, if you were brand new to Phantasy Star Online, then this combat does feel better than PSO's, I guess. In terms of like how janky it feels, but... This guy has like all the health. Do these ever end? I will say I'm not a fan of this saber at all. I also have no idea if you can rotate the camera. I think I managed to do it earlier somehow, but I have no idea how I actually managed that. It does kind of feel like this is still from the era where Sega was still trying to figure out a good control scheme for 3D Phantasy Stars. Can I actually equip any of that stuff? No. Because I need to level up. Okay. That's shown me two directions there that I've apparently covered. I could have only come into here from one way. Is this the way back? So did it just explain that badly, or was I just not understanding that at all? So green means directions that you haven't been yet. Yeah, I see what I mean about the dive roll. It's definitely nowhere near as good as the PSP to Infinity dive roll. There is like a weird sort of animation lock after it. Okay, so that's how you control the camera. Okay, that's not great. Quite a lot of enemies, really, considering this is like the first mission. I'm quite surprised how many it's thrown at us. Yeah, it does feel like this saber is pretty terrible. The other thing I'm noticing as well is that do enemies not actually drop items? Is it just you get items from these boxes after the room? Okay, so we've got an ice ray bangle, so that's a ray bangle that has ice element. Fair enough. That's a very weird looking weapon. Is this a shield? This appears to be a shield. It is a shield. Why would you want to use a shield and nothing else? Unless you can dual wield in this like PSU, but that seems very weird. stick with this for now. Yeah, it's very strange, the combat in this so far. It's really interesting this though, because as I say, this is the first time I've ever played the game, so I had no idea what to expect. One thing that is striking out to me though is the music in this game. The music seems really good. Everything feels sort of very deliberate and quite slow for the most part. This could just be a thing with this weapon in particular, but even things like the evasion roll, it feels very slow. I think because of the sort of weird delay you got at the end of it. It makes you feel like you've got to commit to your attacks a bit more, which honestly is quite similar to PS0. I just saw we got a rester disc, so that's probably huge for us. If we can actually learn it, because who knows. Okay, so techs are now level bound rather than MST. Okay, interesting. Interestingly, I've noticed that the dodge roll doesn't actually take any PP, whereas in Infinity it does. So we do have a key, so maybe worth checking over here. Definitely feeling the Hunuel accuracy. That feels very on brand for PS0. Yeah, my accuracy is pretty atrocious. Oh, level 3. I got a photon drop there, and it wasn't a red box, so I'm immediately disappointed. This does still suffer from the same problem of having your pickup item button be on the same thing as a pallet button. We'll go that. So it looks like slots are still bound to armor. So that again is very, very similar to PS0. So it looks like that was just to get an extra box by the looks of things. Okay, we must be going the right way then. You're really something, Taker. Are you sure you don't remember any of your training? Nope. I was a little worried before, but you barely broke a sweat getting here. Shouldn't be surprised though, you were always so talented, unlike me, haha. I'm just kind of clumsy, I guess. I always took to books better than I did to battle. That reminds me, I lent you a book at one point. A story about the two heroes who worked together to save the world. You probably forgot all about it long before you lost your memory. It's not important at all. I just remember you said you liked it when you gave it back to me. We actually talked a lot back in the day. I said please lend it to me again. Yeah, it'd be fun to talk about it with you again. It'd be like we're back in training. Speaking of, did Captain Rev tell you anything past just giving you orders? I like how you can go, Captain Rev. Like, already forgotten again. Not really. I see. Well, I guess it's not a problem if you want to join up as a hunter then. He's definitely talented, but he's got kind of an ego. He's just prickly. He'd probably make a better leader if he were a little easier to talk to. Kind of like you, Taker. Please don't tell him I said that. Let's move on before I stick my foot even further into my mouth. I don't want to keep Kai waiting either. Okay, so we have... That's essentially a healing ring, I guess. Are you okay? Oh yeah, I'm fine. Just an injury from a few days back acting up is all. Sorry, would you mind if we took a little break? Thanks. So I think I already told you that I landed a while before you, right? Well, my pod strayed from the projected path and I wound up landing in a spot called Garachia Valley. It's pretty rough terrain. Anyway, I was wandering around out there when I ran into a huge hostile. Have you heard of a dragon before? They're big, like really big and mean. There was one in the story I lent you before, but I guess that doesn't help. Point being, it's the stuff of legends. I was more than a little outclassed, so I did my best to run away. In the end, I couldn't shake it, and for a second there, I thought I was history. That's when Kai showed up. I'd like to say the two of us took it out, but I'd be lying. We distracted it, then ran for our lives. Still, I owe him my life just the same, and afterwards he took me back to the city. I was banged up all over by that point, so he patched me up while he told me about himself in the city. We talked about the Hunters, which is the guild he's in, and the work they do and how they're short on men. He kept coming back to that, and when I asked him why, he said he wanted me to join up. I owed him big time for saving my life, plus it just felt really good to be needed, you know? Anyway, that about catches you up on my experiences here. No forgetting now. And speaking of, remember that you can always cancel a quest if you feel like you can't go on, or if you're in danger. Being that you're out in the field on quests issued from the city, cancelling a quest will drop you back in the city. You'll need to start the quest over from the beginning later, but you'll keep any experience or items you found. Kai said there's no shame in running, and that being patient as you train is the key to getting stronger. Alright, that's enough of a break. We should probably get moving. We immediately get mobbed by frogs. It would be nice if this saber had any range whatsoever. That would be nice. Oh god, we've got one of these birds. I might try and hit it with a bar, actually. So it looks like we do have a lock-on, which is good. So that's more like PSU. The bat even work. I'm going to assume the bat only hits things on the floor, maybe. You don't have any magic bat like you do in PS0, where it goes along the floor and it still hits things in the air. I really don't like those things. We should be seeing what is here and now, and he only sees the future. I envy that. So maybe get some kind of lore potentially from the message capsules, which is cool. Again, that's a bit of a callback to PS0. I'm definitely seeing a lot of PS0 influence in this, for sure. Even if nothing specific PS0 has been mentioned yet. I don't actually think they've said the name of the planet yet, to be honest. So we now have different colour frogs. Let's try a batter on one of these and see what it's like. It does less damage than my normal attack. Great. I suppose it is on low level though, so maybe they get better later on. Now either that freeze just didn't last long at all, or attacks break it. One thing I have noticed is the chain counter that pops up. Yeah, that chain counter there that pops up. That is exactly the same font and everything as the one from PSP2. Now, I can't remember which game came first, this or PSP2. But one of them just clearly borrowed that from the other. So these guys are a different colour, but they don't really seem any different to the others. I think they use fire instead, but... The picking of items up in this does seem very slow-witted. Yeah, the main thing I'm saying so far is I really don't like the saber animation on this. Now, I do wonder if it's like PSO where males and females have different animations. These guys remind me of the zoos from episode 4. With less dive bombing. See, I have a lot of health really for a very early game monster. I mean, they do have 20 experience, whereas most other things are given about 2. That's interesting that star atomizers don't fully heal. So that was clearly just for the box there. Yeah, I will say that considering this is the first quest of the game, this is a lot of enemies. There also seems to be pretty much no invulnerability window. Where in PS0, if you get hit, like particularly offline, if you get hit, you won't take any damage again for like a very small period of time. Online, it's different. Online, you can get beaten up constantly, but this feels like there's next to no invulnerability. I guess because they want you to use the dodge roll. Level 4. I do like the little level up chime. The accuracy is atrocious. Yeah, it's certainly not short on enemies. I imagine the combat probably feels a lot better when you've got Fortnite that you can use. Let's just for a bit, let's just try this. Like there's Saber and Saber, but they're both spelled differently. Like one of them is the UK spelling, one of them is the US spelling. Okay, we have some Fortnite. Okay, so we've got a key. Oh, could you actually break some of the scenery? Okay, so that's interesting. Let's try that again. So it seems like almost like you can't combo into a Fortnite. I'm guessing that you'll always do the hit unless you do the Fortnite from neutral. Actually, no, it does look like you just do the Fortnite anywhere. That is a lot more damage though. It looks like you always do that initial hit first. Oh, rest is basically no animation at all. Really fast. You'd think we would have bumped into Kai by now. Where's the rendezvous point? It's in this block right around this area too. I guess we don't have much choice. Let's push on a little further. Maybe Kai got tired of waiting and went on by himself. Let's go check. I'm guessing it's probably a boss. Given that there is a large portal and a healing ring. I mean, let's try it, I guess. Still no Kai. How far in could you have gone? Could you wait here a minute, Taker? It looks pretty clear over there. I'll go see what I can see. Okay, I will say, not what I expected for the boss. I was thinking more dragon. Time to fight, go join Sarissa or shout for help. I don't know if it actually matters what you pick. I have no idea.
Count me in.
Assuming that's Kai. So to keep you waiting. I'm glad we got here in time. This must be the target of our quest. That's right. Hey newcomer, you can fight, right? I'm trusting you to cover my back. I can kill frogs. You can tell me all about yourself and how you know Sarissa when we're done with this ugly customer. How knows me? We can worry about that later, Taker. Let's do what we can to help out. Alright, boss time. I'm gonna assume we attack these bits. Shades of Darol there. So I'm guessing that when it brings one of the tentacles back that it's going to sort of stab with it. That'll be my assumption. Hitbox seems very, very jank on this. There's like a specific part of it you have to hit. So I'm going to assume when it does that, maybe that's how you get access to the head. The dodge roll that it does is actually really, really slow coming out. So there seems like there's no iframes at the start of it. I have to say this is not the most interesting boss fight. So if there's a really bad hitbox there, or you can't hit him there. He's doing new stuff. I was going to say, is that a phase change? He's actually super annoying. Yeah, it feels like most of his attacks now multi-hit. Yeah, so that it just feels really, really bad for hitboxes, honestly. Yeah, this guy's like mega annoying. I have to say, not a fan of that boss fight in the slightest. Just felt kind of irritating, honestly. Give me a dragon any day. Unless I was missing something with that fight. It felt like after he did like the suction attack that you were meant to like run round to his head and hit that, but every time I tried it, I couldn't seem to actually hit him. The hitboxes on that did seem really all over the place. There's like several times during the fight where I was attacking the tentacle part and not doing any damage because the hitbox of the tentacle wasn't on that part of it. Can't help but envy its stamina. I'm exhausted here and I need help. Now that it's over, let me introduce you two. Take it, this is Kai. He's a nice guy and I owe him my life. Sorry for the rushed hello before, things were a little bit crazy. Kai, this is Taker. We've known each other for a while. A friend of yours, huh? Now that you mention it, you kind of look alike. Have the same weird taste in clothes too. Cheers for that. Yeah, well, what do I know about fashion, right? Anyway, you sure got an arm on you, Taker. I'm impressed. I did literally nothing. You took on that oversized octopus like a pro. Are you a hunter for one of the other cities or something? I'll tell you again that I know nothing. Well, what? Amnesia? It's like you're a cast. Sorry, I didn't mean to make a big deal of it. It's like you're a cast. So is he just implying that I'm a bit robotic because I don't know anything? Or is that a thing in PS0 where casts have amnesia? I have no idea. Still, fighting that well with amnesia. I can understand a bit of muscle memory, but dang, that's impressive. And there were no hunters in our city. The job just didn't exist. So Taker's not really a hunter. Not exactly, anywhere. Really? Wow, it's pretty rare to hear of a city with no Hunters Guild. I've been wondering for a while now, but where exactly is your city anyway? I don't think I should... Oh, sorry, it's no big deal. If you don't want to talk about it, I'm not going to make you. In this day and age, everybody's got a skeleton or two in their closet. I'm no different. Sorry, Kai, you've done so much for me. I wish I could answer, but... Like I say, it's not a problem. A person's background doesn't define who they are. And we're all in this thing together. Everybody's just trying to live their lives, right? Well, then the best thing for it is for everyone to work together. Kai seems pretty chill. That's the Hunter's Creed. I told you before, didn't I? Yeah, you did. Thank you, Kai. That reminds me, I wanted to ask you to recommend Tigger as a hunter too. I don't have to convince you after what you saw in that last fight, do I? The mill will be happy for the help too. That sounds perfect. You'd make a great addition to the guild, Tigger. I was about to ask you myself. I've been short on manpower for a while now, and it'd make my life easier to split the load with someone like you. Look pensive. I'll nod my head. I knew you'd agree, Tigger. This is going to be great. We'll get to work together from now on. So, should we head back to the city? We finished here earlier than I thought. I'll give you the grand tour. You should have seen Sarissa here when I first took her around. Her eyes bugged out like a kid in a candy store. Hey Kai, Tigger doesn't need to hear about that. It's not my fault I'd never seen anything like it before. But wait, you just walked through it like it was no big deal, Tigger. You barely seemed to notice it. I guess you were just so impressed you were left speechless, huh? Right, Tigger? So basically Tigger is an adult and you're a little kid. Kai? Uh-oh. You were still disoriented, and we were in a rush to meet Kai. When it sinks in, you'll be impressed too, I bet. Well, let's head back and find out for sure then. Okay, so I think I'll end that there for now, to be honest. So I think from that I've got a decent impression of what the game's like at a very basic level. So overall impressions as someone who had never played this game previously. First of all, as someone who played PS0 for thousands and thousands of hours and still does, it's very clear that the link between this and PS0. While lore-wise they haven't really mentioned anything about Coral, there's been some subtle indications with things like the war and the deprivation of resources as well that are things that are mentioned in PS0 to an extent, so that is very clear. The other thing is just thematically it feels similar to PS0. Obviously it's a very different setting, but there are certain things that feel similar. So just with the combat, you know, you've still got the Phantasy Star Online tropes of your 3 hits, you know, your timing your attacks. You've got other things from other Phantasy Stars like Fortin Arts. So there is a definite link to some of the other games that I can feel. The actual aesthetic of the game, for me, I personally don't like how this game looks as much as some of the other Phantasy Star games, but it is definitely its own thing. It definitely feels more like they're going for like the cartoon aesthetic, which I'm all for. I just feel that it's very different to anything we've had in other games for the most part. However, I do think it seems like a really enjoyable game, honestly. The only thing I'm not really a fan of so far is just some of the controls for the combat feel a bit weird. That is probably just down to more of a hardware thing than a software thing. You know, this game originally released on the DS, so it's very awkward to make a good 3D game with good controls for a console like the DS. So I think they did well for what they were working with, but there is some awkwardness to it, so things like just moving the camera is a bit weird. So there is some elements of that. But again, if you've played PSO, if you were going into that for the first time, you would have exactly the same problem with things like the camera. You know, I mean, there is no real camera control in PSO. Unless you're playing on Affinia now where they've added it. But yeah, I think overall I am actually really enjoying this. It seems like a really fun game for the most part. Now, whether we do other videos in the future, we might revisit it later in time. We may do a playthrough of it at some point, but that will be a long way off if that's the case, because we're still going through the PSP2 playthrough as well. But we might revisit PS0 now and again. We might play it on stream a little bit as well, potentially. Yeah, I'll end that one for there. I hope it's been pretty interesting for someone who has a lot of experience with Phantasy Star, but not with this game, just to get my impressions of it and what I think of it overall. So I'll end this one there. Any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. If you enjoyed the video, consider liking, subscribing, joining as a member. We do 2 videos a week usually. This week I think there's 3 videos. And on a weekend on a Sunday we normally stream as well. It's usually Phantasy Star on streams as well, so feel free to join us there. Additionally, you can follow me on X at Section Skylight, and I also have a Discord channel you can join as well. Yeah, hope you've enjoyed this brief look at Phantasy Star Zero, and hope to see you guys in the next video.